welcome our next storyteller with great pleasure, Mr. Jesse Bernstein. Come on.
Thank you. I came to Ann Arbor in 1968 to get my master's degree in social work, and 2 years later they gave it to me and told me never to come back to the school. It seems that I was always asking questions they didn't want me to ask and they didn't want to answer, mainly because I wanted to get help to people before their lives fell apart, and that was not something that was common to social work at that time. So I began working in the Community Mental Health Center, and because everyone in my family back in New York, I know you couldn't tell I came from New York, and I have been here 45 years, had a store. And even though I was a social worker, I felt I needed to have a store as well. So I set up a private mental health clinic in Westland. Now, you all know that the secret of a successful store is to locate where there are similar stores so people can go and have a choice. That's why you have CVS on State Street and 10 feet away we're getting a Walgreens. But in Westland, there were no mental health clinics, and there was no service for people who needed it. So for 7 years, I ran a clinic in Westland, and during that 7 years, a movement began called the Employee Assistance Programs, and basically what they did was provide help for people, for employers and employees who had personal problems. And it was set up with a 24-hour call-in center. People would call in with any kind of family problem. And during this time, it was mainly in-house programs. So Ford set one up, Detroit Edison set one up, Police and Fire Department in Detroit had one. But there wasn't a lot of contracting going on for the smaller companies. So I decided that I was going to set up an employee assistance company that would contract with companies and provide this service. So I went to my friends at Ford Motor Company, you might have heard of them, and they had been running an EAP internally for a number of years. And I said, here's what I want to do, and I laid out my ideas for them, and there were two people in the room, and I said, you know, here's what I want to do, what do you think? And they had this funny smile on their faces. It was like weird, I couldn't read it. And I got done, and they said, boy, it sounds really good. And I said, do you have any comments, suggestions, anything? I said, no, sounds good, we like what you said. So, well, okay, thanks. And as I'm kind of getting ready to leave, they said, oh, by the way, we're looking for a contractor at the Ypsilanti plant. Would you like to be the first EAP contractor in the history of Ford Motor Company? And I said, let me think about that. Yes! So that was my first big break.